What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolf Brother Mythos Kush Renata from the channel Frost and Fist, and welcome to my third episode of Mechanicum Monday. And what I've got for you this week is yet another showcase. In fact, this is I literally just finished it earlier today showcase. And these are my Kastelan Robots. And these were, I don't normally like building guys, but these guys were a pleasure to build. These guys were a pleasure to paint. And I really had a lot of fun. But I did have a couple of changes and a couple of challenges, so I just want to talk a minute about my thought process as I was painting these Kastelan Robots. So, first and foremost, this is probably the most I've airbrushed a single model. I started off just priming my models and then base coating my models, and I've used my airbrush actually in this in multiple stages, and I'm really pleased. I really wanted to push myself with the amount I was using the airbrush because I'm learning, I'm always trying to learn more about the airbrush. Freak is really great with the airbrush, and he's always encouraging me to do more with the airbrush, and of course I've always felt like my skill set's just not there. I'm comfortable with what I can do with the brush, and of course we kind of get stuck with what we're comfortable with sometimes. So this is the most I've airbrushed, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So, first and foremost, I base coated them with Imperial Blue by Vallejo, which is a nice, what's the word?
Indigo.
Which is a nice indigo color, right on the border of dark blue and purple. And I thought that was a great color to start with. And then I added a little highlight to them with Gene Stealer Purple. And of course, once I was done with the Gene Stealer Purple, I used a little bit of Emperor's Children, and of course after I did the whole Imperial Blue, I took these guys and just everything after that was Zenithal. So I took the Gene Stealer Purple all from the high point, okay, and then of course I wanted to come to the back, hit the little top of the backpacks, okay, and then all from the top. And then the next stage went to the Emperor's Children Pink. I wanted to give that purple a little extra pop. I didn't want to spray enough to actually see the pink. I just wanted to make the purple a little more pop, And so, of course, again, from the top, I took that Emperor's Children Pink and just kind of sprayed it on top of the purple very lightly. Came around the backside, made sure to hit the high points of that backpack. And I think it gave it a great highlight. So, I did my coloring stages like that using the airbrush. And that was cool. The burn effects on the edges of the phosphor blasters, I started that with the airbrush, and then as I, my gradients got more fine, of course I ended up switching over to dry brushing. But again, that's another place I used the airbrush. And then I started up doing it just the purple, and then I did my metallics, after all the highlights of the purple. And then I did my metallics, and then I did my details, and it was looking good, but I was feeling a little like it was too monochromatic. And if you look at the box art, it's mostly monochromatic red in different stages, and the metallics and the details. And I was kind of like, okay, this is similar to the box art, but I still wasn't happy with it because that monochromatic feeling was just too much for me. I needed something to break that up. And like the box art, I could have gone in the direction of just heavy weathering, but I didn't want to go in that direction. I could have added some rust or some streaks and grime or some scrapes or, dents and bangs, and I didn't want all that. I decided to go a different route, and I decided that when I look at my infantry guys, they've got the purple and the silver, and the cloth on them, whether it's their pants or somewhere on there, they've got some administrative gray as kind of that extra color. And I was like, I want to put some administrative gray somewhere on these guys, and I thought about it and where I wanted to put them, and finally I just decided, you know what, I want to try a racing stripe. So an asymmetrical stripe down one side like Commander Shepard, in his N7 uniform, that asymmetrical stripe down one side. And I tried it. I did some taping off with the airbrush, and on the first go I absolutely love how it came out. I think it came out really well, does a great job breaking up all that purple. So definitely when I show you guys some of these pictures, please keep a lookout for that. Next thing I want to talk about are the burn effects, and the burn effects on the phosphor blasters. I started it out with some Rune Lord, actually first some Ushanti Bone, then some Runelord brass, and then some Balthasar's gold, and then I transitioned into some red with some Lazdaka red, and then I transitioned that again to a more purpley with that, again, that Imperial blue, that purpley blue from Vallejo. And then at the very tips, I went around the edges in Vallejo black primer, just because I love, when I'm doing burn effects, that really dark matte black look. And then I went around the edges of the barrel, you know, for a little bit of the scrape with Lead Belcher again, just to really kind of get that scrape around the edges. So lots of different stages, lots of really thin layers there, and I really love how the heat tempering came out on the guns of these phosphor blasters. And then the last detail I want to talk about, it may be hard to see on camera and pick up, but it looks really great in person. Guys, it takes a lot of patience to paint in every tiny rivet in these Kastelan Robots. And I am not typically a patient man, but I went ahead and did it for these Kastelan Robots because there's a lot of smooth surfaces and there's not a ton of detail on these guys because they've got that bubbly, you know, lots of flat and curved surfaces look, not a whole lot of tiny micro details. So I needed something to kind of elevate and bring out some of those details. So I went in and painted every single bolt. First with the Administratum Gray, and then I even, on such a tiny bolt, I highlighted up pure white to make these bolts pop a little bit. And I think it adds a great little, those such tiny details, but I think it adds a great little dimension of detail to the armor. So anyways, that's just some of my thoughts I had while painting up these guys, and I slapped some decals on them, did the Mars bases, and these guys are ready to go. So we're going to take a look at those robots now, and please let me know in the comments down below what you think of these Kastelan Robots, especially my favorite detail. Let me know what you think of the asymmetrical stripe. Alright, let's check that out.
By the way, beautiful people, Frost and Fish shirts are now available for sale at thenerdlife.com. If you want to help out a brother in the community, Richard over at The Nerd Life, and get your hands on some Frost and Fist gear, then head over to nerdlife.com and check this brother out. He's also got other great hobby gear and his own Nerd Life apparel. Check him out.